The Atta Presidential Library, built in the year 2015 in honor of the late President, Professor John Evans Fifi Atta, is located right opposite the Cape Coast Castle. According to some authorities, the library has not been used since it was established due to some governmental issues. Even though it's located opposite the Cape Coast Castle, tourists and citizens are not allowed to enter. The director in charge of the library has to say this.
The library was set up as a presidential library in memory of the late president. And the library was meant to be a research library that would be affiliated to the Center for African International Studies and then the Department of History. But then it's supposed to be part of the university libraries. Usually libraries are supposed to keep books, but that was to be an e-library. It wasn't meant to be a hard copy book library. It was also meant to hold programs that will showcase African leadership.
Since the establishment of the library, it has been heard that the History Department from the University of Cape Coast have organized a program in honor of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Professor Botwe happens to be a speaker for that event.
It has been to understand, and it can be more useful ultimately. As it stands now, it's not a functional library. People don't go there to read. I don't think it has the relevant and necessary books for people even to read. Nevertheless, when we really look at what it represents as a place where people can actually go to read and acquire knowledge, we say it's very useful for the very basic reason that people need to find sports that are convenient and quiet to read after school hours. And not those who also not in school can also find places where they can get some kind of reading materials and reference materials to basically broaden and expand the knowledge base that they have already. So for that, I think that it is useful. A lot needs to be done to really activate it as a working library. The other thing that I find about it is that it's useful because as a library that will operate with an administrative wing, it needs workers, and so the library itself becomes a source of, or provider of jobs for some people inside.
Ever since the History Department from the University of Cape Coast organized an event at the library, the place has been on lockdown. The government has some unsettled business with the contractor, which has made him lock the place and has the keys in his possession.
So I think what the government can do for it to start operating is to work on resolving the financial obligations that the government owes to the contractor, so that the University of Cape Coast can get the keys, and then we'll start rolling out programs. We'll fix the museum and start rolling out programs. The library was actually sited in town because the concept was that if it's out in town, then many people will get access to the library. School children who will come on excursions can visit the library, and it's close to the castle, so the visitors to the castle would think of going to visit the library too, because the idea was that if it's placed on campus, it would deprive many people access to the library. So we're hoping that when those issues are resolved, we will start operating, and then it would attract visitors and do what the library was meant to do.
We've heard some of the concerns from the authorities in charge of this library. We hope the government settles its financial disputes so the library can be useful to the society and the nation as a whole. I am Stephen Abaka, reporting from UCC.